Love and logic. It's a method that parents and educators are now using to express the relationship between parents and teachers and between teachers and students. It's also something that's been very popular at Eagle Springs Elementary, and we're very fortunate to be joined today by three of Eagle Springs' finest. We'll start with the teacher who is using Love and Logic in her classroom. Her name is Darcy Petzold, correct? Even though her students called her Mrs. Petzold, Miss Pretzel for a while, which was easy for young ones. We're also joined by April Maldonado. So we're so glad you could be with us. You are the principal at Eagle Springs, and Donna Burkhardt, who is the assistant principal. Yes. So we're so glad all of you are here and are going to tell us a little bit about Love and Logic, which you, by the way, got an Humble ISD Foundation grant to teach in your classroom. Right. So explain what Love and Logic is.
Well, like you said, it's an approach and it's a way to have a relationship with a child, and it's a really positive way because there's respect for the children, respect for the adults, and it's just a really positive way to help children to make good choices and to help them to problem solve their own mistakes. So mistakes are seen as kind of an opportunity for learning. So it's just a real positive approach.
So just give me a brief example so we understand how you would use that approach.
Okay, well, what got me started is I had a little boy a couple of years ago, and he would just be defiant. And so I'd ask him to do something, and he would stand up and say no. And he would look around the room to see if he could get a show. And it was shocking to me because I hadn't had that, and I've worked with children a number of years. And so that's what got me started in, well, how do I handle that? Because your choices are, you could just say, well, take him to the principal's office, or how can I handle that as a teacher in a positive way? So that's what got me started with Love and Logic. And so now if a student did that, I would probably just say, that's a problem. We're going to need to talk about that, and we're going to need to solve that problem, and the child will be part of that process of solving that problem, rather than me just taking him down to the principal's office and letting her deal with him.
Well, and Darcy, thanks so much for doing a foundation grant application, because that's what as Lynn said, made this possible. But April, let me shift to kind of the campus perspective of things. That's tremendous in Darcy's classroom, first grade, because that's really the time to be capturing them, even kindergarten. But from a school-wide perspective, Love and Logic, is there an application for that? Is there a benefit to that?
Absolutely. I think the strategies of Love and Logic just give teachers more tools in their toolbox. And the good thing is it's not something that's in addition to what we currently have in place. We already have a great positive behavior system in place. So this isn't something on top of that. And the way that Darcy has introduced it to our teachers, it's been wonderful, because it's not an administrative mandate. It's not something that Donna and I came in and said, you have to do this. Instead, we made resources available, and at every staff meeting, Darcy just gets up and shares a strategy, and then we just challenge the teachers to try it. And then in subsequent meetings, they have the opportunity to get up and share their experiences. Perfect. So this sort of collaboration has been the best way to really infuse these principles in our ESE classrooms every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a perfect approach.
Yeah.
That really is.
Donna, how have you seen it change the environment at Eagle Springs?
I don't know that I've seen it change the environment of Eagle Springs, because just like Ms. Maldonado said, we've always had that positive behavior, but I think it helps empower the teachers a lot of times to want to handle some of those things in the classroom, even when sometimes it might be seen as a discipline issue that might have been sent to the principal's office before. But can we talk through what was that mistake you made, and what, trying to figure out why they made it, and how, and even asking about the consequences. What should their consequences be? And having the kid, giving them time to think about it. And sometimes that really helps them, empowers the kid to think about the choice that they just made and why that wasn't such a good choice.
So has it reduced disciplinary referrals?
It has reduced referrals, yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful.
Well, and Darcy, if I'm correct, I heard you received a subsequent grant?
We did, and that was really exciting because, we had this basic grant from the foundation, so we've been doing this since last summer. We got books and gave all the staff a book for over the summer. But just right before spring break, we got another grant that was from the Houston CPA Society, and that was another, it was about $1,300. And so that money will go for additional resources for the staff and for parents. And for me, that's been one of the most rewarding things, is being able to share with the parents in our community and teaming with them. So like a parent might call me and say, I tried this Love and Logic at home, and I'm like, well, I tried this at school, and so you have it from both sides
that's
working
great.
together. So the Houston CPA Society just gave us that grant. We're going to get more materials with that. So it was really fun to build on top of the foundation
Well,
grant.
and that's so awesome, as you
Yeah,
said, to have
yeah.
that parent piece and that connection.
Yeah.
Because the kid doesn't stand a chance. I mean, at home, at school, it's
I know, but it's in such a positive way that, and like Donna said, that really the student is empowered to come up with their own consequence. And what I found is that the students, when they come up with their own consequence, is usually even more than what I would do. And at first the children would say, well, maybe I should sit out. Well, I don't really believe in children sitting out. And so I'm like, well, what else could you try? And they were, well, maybe I should run a lap and think about what my choice might be next time that would be better. And then one of them said, well, maybe I should write it down, like write sentences. So he started writing sentences, and he wrote it like 25 times. And that was so horrible for him that he really thought, because I don't know that I would have said that as a consequence.
that himself.
He chose
Right,
that himself,
right.
and so that really changed his behavior. So it's empowering them to make good choices on their own. And that was my goal. It's that children would intrinsically want to make good choices, not just when an adult's watching them. So,
Or not because they're forced to.
right.
Yeah.
Or even bribed to by too much positive reinforcement. Because then they do it, they're like, well, if I do this,
Artificial.
what am I going to get? It's like an entitlement kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's the best of both, right down the middle.
That sounds awful, awesome, because I had one of those kids who said no to everything.
Yeah,
You know,
and
no,
you're
I'm
not sure
not
what
going
to
to put
do.
on my shoes for church. No, I'm not going to do this. And I finally just did the opposite and said, you're forbidden to put on your shoes today.
That works
She put 'em
sometimes.
on.
Yeah.
sounds like maybe
good.
she took after her mom.
Yes, she did. That's what her father says.
Sorry, I could not resist. I could not
It's
resist.
true.
We actually, we had a first grade teacher share a story at one of our meetings and said that one of her students, who could be a little disruptive and challenging sometimes, was out of his seat and crawling around on the floor. And so instead of addressing him and him being out of his seat, she was like, okay, guys, anybody who wants to, I have something really cool to teach y'all next, and if you really want to know something cool about writing, you've got to be in your seats and you've got to be listening. But if you don't want to learn this really cool thing, then go ahead and you can be on the floor and crawling around. And she said that student just kind of got, slid up in his chair and got in there, kind of, then was already engaged, ready to know what he was about to learn. So
Because they expect the opposite
Yes.
reaction.
Yeah.
So
And it would
if
have
you
been
do the
a
opposite.
different outcome if they had gotten into a power struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. That's that defiance
can't
cycle.
fight
And
with
you
the
can't get
defiance
in that
cycle.
with the
Right.
children.
Yeah. Well, I know the parents and teachers at your school are very grateful for the program, and thank you for thinking of it and seeking the grant money to put it into play. Thank you all for leading that kind of environment at your school as well, because I know it's beneficial for everyone. They're wrapping us up, so good luck in the future with future grant applications. And don't go away, we're coming right back.